Hello everyone, welcome to Stentech Database Viewer. In this video, we're going to demonstrate the functionality and the features of the Database Viewer. This software is free to download, requires a very minimum space to install, and it's a great tool to verify your stencil check plot. Here are some benefits of the software. It is a great tool to communicate with the Stentech CAD engineers, and you will view exactly what we view on our software. You can clearly see all the changes that we made on your stencil design and a clear overlay of your modified paste file against the unmodified paste file. You could also take measurements of an aperture, check the distance, and measure the pitch of the two pads as well. There is also a tool called Redline Tooling. The benefit of this tool is you as a client could write any note on the Gerber file without overwriting the Gerber file. The viewer also gives you the access to highlight certain components by decode. This will allow you to check your paste report against your actual stencil data. Please follow the link to download the free database viewer. The instructions are on this slide. Please note, in this software, you cannot import any files. You can only open the VCAM files we provide you. The VCAM file contains all the data that is required for you to verify your stencil check plots against all the other layers. Drop the file to the software or go to File menu and open the file. As soon as you open the file, the check plot will be displayed. Let's start with identifying the layers. If you look at the right side of your screen, you see a color bar. Those will be the layers that you require for verification. Layers 1 to 4 will be your top files. The first layer will be your silk top, the second layer your paste top, third modified paste top, and fourth will be your board outline. Similarly, it will be layers 5 to 8 on the bottom side. Going further down the list, layer 10 and 11 will be your check plot layers. 10 for the top side and 11 for the bottom side. On the check plot layer, you'll have all the job details: foil thickness, part number, stencil job number, and squeegee view, etc. Also, if you look at the box below, you will see all the information for this stencil. If the stencil is nano-coated or advanced nano-coated, metal information, if the image is centered or custom offset, lead-free, leaded process, etc. If you look at the right side of the box, it will show you the minimum area ratio for this side, approximate paste volume you will expect from the stencil, as well as some details about the fitter shells, minimum pad size, and the minimum pitch for this stencil. Now let's examine the modifications we applied on the stencil. If you click any of the layers 1 to 4, all 4 will appear with layer 16, which is the fitter shell layer. You could disable that feature by right-clicking on the mouse on top of the layer list and by unmarking the control layer sets. You could zoom in with pressing the positive key on your keyboard and zoom out with the negative key on your keyboard. Also, if you have a mouse with a scrolling feature, you could use that to zoom in and out as well. By looking at the layers, red is the original unmodified paste layer. Blue is your modified paste layer. You could clearly see the changes we made to your stencil. For example, most of the chip components are home plated. Some ICs are reduced as per industry standard. Please note, if you overprint the pad or if you leave the pad at 1:1 without any changes, the red areas will not be visible. Let's examine the BGA. Currently, they are square as per modified layer. By double-clicking the original layer, you could bring the second layer to the front. In case you want to check your modified file against the copper and mask file, they will be available on layer 20 and 21. Another tool that is very important is the measuring toolbar. It's located under drop-down menu Query on the top left side of the screen or on the main toolbar. By pressing Q on your keyboard and clicking on any of the apertures, you can see the dimension on the aperture. For example, the BGA is 13.8 mil on the original paste file. 15 is on the modified layer. You can see all the details on that aperture on the left side of the item properties. To measure the distance, simply go to the icon with the yellow ruler. By clicking one point of the screen to another point, you can determine the distance between the two. The distance will show on the bottom of the screen. To measure the distance between two apertures, go directly beside the yellow ruler icon where you see two blue dots. Click on the first aperture where you want the distance to begin, and click on the second aperture where you want to end the measurement. The distance will again show on the bottom. To measure the pitch or center between two apertures, click on the two red dots on the menu bar beside the one with the blue and the yellow. Click on the first aperture where you want the distance to begin, and click on the second aperture where you want it to end. The distance to show on the bottom again. Now let's talk about the redline tooling. This is a very good tool to make notes on top of checkplot without distracting the Gerber data. Go to the menu bar and click on the capital A in red on the top of your screen. Once clicked, you can type in your notes and press OK. Please make sure the font is stencil font. You could press the red icon with the light bulb to turn on and off your text. You can also delete the text with the delete icon. If you have to send the file back to Stentec with all the notes, please use the Save As function and rename your file as you desire. Another tool that we offer is the paste report. This paste report will include with every checkplot along with the VCAM file. The paste report will allow you to use the aperture table with the area ratio, aspect ratio according to a given foil thickness. Using the paste report, you could highlight the area of concern on your VCAM viewer. Before we go any further, let's examine the paste report and what it means. If you look at the fourth line, all the units on the report are in mils. Area ratio is set to 0.66, aspect ratio is set to 1.5, and the thickness is 4 mils for the stencil. Also, it shows the approximate paste volume you'll be expecting from this stencil. And on this report, the quantity refers to the number of apertures on the stencil. Let's look at an example. D146 on the list. This is a rectangular pad with dimension 15.93 on the width and 51.39 on the length. On the next column, it shows the pitch of this part. And if you look further down on the column, you will see the area ratio and the aspect ratio. If by any chance the area ratio is below 0.66 or aspect ratio is below 1.5, the column next to it will appear as no instead of yes. Next, we are going to examine how to use decode by using this report. For example, let's evaluate decode 68, 158, and 168. For you to highlight these decodes, please go to the navigator bar and click on the apertures. Please make sure the single click highlight is turned on. To turn on this feature, please right click on your mouse to the top of the apertures and make sure the single click highlight is on. Also, please make sure on the bottom right of your screen, under select filter, all the columns in the types layer are checkmarked. It's very important. Let's examine decode 68. Go down on the list and press the specified decode, in this case 68. On the screen you will see all the apertures highlighted for this particular decode. The same thing will be done to D158 and D168. A couple of things to note. Print function. You'll be able to print the check plots or any other layers. You could use the sketch or transparency view mode. You could change the units by going to this specific icon. And you could also see the part orientation that Stencil created as a part of your library. This concludes our presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact any of the Stantec representatives you associate with. We are more than happy to assist you with any capacity in which we can. Thank you and wish you all the best.